What's up? Here we are. I don't like that one.
Yeah, baby
Is
crack.
that the one we normally have? Top on top like that? I don't know.
I'm sorry, I'm not on the screen. I'm trying to. Here, hold up. Is that good?
Oh, it's wonderful. What's up, folks? We're back with another live episode here. Press play. We got an interesting topic that Leroy came up with. I think it's kind of interesting and relevant to a lot of video games happening today. A lot of crazy changes in video game services that we'll talk about. What's going on with you, man?
Not much. Just trying to keep this one from eating stuff he's not supposed to. Where you going?
The life of a dad. It's wonderful. Um, yeah, man. I was telling you, I went to Olive Garden for the first time in a long time. Had a great experience. When you're there, your family. I felt like family. It was nice. I was there for my mom's birthday. It was good stuff.
That's good.
Yeah.
Hey, you keep it up. You going down? Here, baby crack.
So as you feed your baby crack that you are now recorded as saying on a live recorded stream.
Hey man,
Uh,
these puffs. I don't know what's in them,
mhm.
but every child I've ever been around is like puffs.
Yeah, puffs are
They-
great. Kind of give us an overview. We're talking about games as a service. What,
Well,
what brought this to your mind? Games as a service.
I mean, I don't know what you're gonna title this, but
Well, I mean, I said, can games as a service work everywhere?
um, basically my question would be, or my the reason why I brought it up is like it seems video game companies are going to keep doing games as a service until it's over, incorporating multiplayer in games that honestly maybe don't need it. And I said in my head, after the whole Justice League, Suicide Squad kills the Justice League information was released, and they talked about it. Um, I was like, what would make a great live service game? Like, what would they keep making them? And I watch a channel called Gamer Ranks or Game Ranks, and with I think what is it, Jake Baldino, um, and I know it's him and Falcon. I know there's more people, but I watch the two of them usually do a lot of videos, and I think they upload a video once a day. But they were talking about games as a live service, and because of the success of certain games that have made it, everybody's going to keep trying it. It's kind of like when um, some company makes a fighting game, everybody copycats, and because it makes money. And so a lot of people are upset that Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League looks like it's going to be a live service game. And basically, the um, the company was like, "This is a great idea," and the fans were like, "No, the hell it isn't."
Hmm.
And the fans were like, "We don't want this," and it comes from a very good company developer. Um, it comes from the people Rocksteady.
Hmm.
Um, they're behind the Arkham games. People love the Arkham games, um, but this one is not being well received, and a lot of it has to do with that it doesn't utilize the Suicide Squad's abilities, and it's a live service game, and people don't want that, and I understand. And so it got me thinking, what would make a good live service game? And I figured we can go over what is a live service game, why do people keep making them. Um, we don't have to rank them, but we can talk about a few of them and explain why they're a thing. Because I know a lot of people are like, why do they keep making these? Like, why do I have to constantly be online to play this one game? And it's because they make money. Go ask what was it, Take Two, Grand Theft Auto.
Hmm.
Go ask them because they ain't never taken that game down. That game is just making money hand over fist. They're
Well, I mean,
literally.
and I think the one we haven't even talked about, like the big daddy, Fortnite.
I mean, Fortnite is big, yeah, but I mean, when you look at what Fortnite is big, but Fortnite hasn't made as much money as Grand Theft Auto is. Has.
Uh, okay.
I mean, look it up. I'm not saying Fortnite isn't big. I'm saying Fortnite hasn't been around as long as Grand Theft Auto, and Grand Theft Auto has been around longer. So by default, the amount of money it's made is hey, hey. So we can look it up, we can debate it, but you're right. Fortnite, PUBG. Let's look at all these different games that are
Well,
just
for me, the only reason I brought up Fortnite is because Grand Theft Auto has been around. See, I don't know when online launched because Grand Theft Auto Online, as it is now, didn't launch when Grand Theft Auto 5 came out. I think it was like a couple months later.
Yeah.
And I don't remember when, because when Fortnite came out, like the Fortnite that people play now,
it's not the Fortnite.
Isn't the original Fortnite.
Nope.
That original Fortnite was kind of a horde simulator, base defender, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then Epic said, "Hey, let's steal everything PUBG's doing, but put bright, fancy lights on it and make more money than them."
And don't forget, let's steal all of these dances.
Sure.
Let's throw in the Carlton dance. Let's throw in all these rappers who were popular at the time, and let's steal all their dances. Because remember, they sued.
Mm-hmm.
Those people, the people in the real world, sued Epic and were like, "You stole. We should get a cut from this." And the courts were like, So. But go ahead.
You started talking because I didn't know where you're going with that thought.
No, I was saying that that not only did they I was piggybacking off of the fact that you said they stole. I was like, yeah, they stole everything. Like Fortnite, you're right. The Fortnite that you see now, they literally stole from everybody to make what Fortnite is, and it has worked for them.
And I think once it worked for Fortnite, everybody's like, "Hey, this is something we can do."
But
because even with Fortnite, even with Fortnite, before that, a lot of mobile games as service or games as service games. A lot of mobile games like Candy Crush has been around forever. Candy Crush has been making money for King and Activision Blizzard for years upon years, which a lot of people may not think of it as a games as a service because you're just clicking and matching stuff. But it's essentially the same thing of them occasionally updating and giving you new levels, and you continue to pay to do whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you want to call it a games as service or pay to play, whatever.
Well, and that's why I was saying, like, let's look at here's two different things, or that's why I said let's break down what is because a lot of people say live service games, and I think we should break down what we mean when we say live service game. I think, and one of the reasons why I talk about Fortnite versus I brought up Grand Theft Auto is because a lot of people think live service games. They think online shooting games, your Call of Duty, your Fortnite. But there's a lot of other games that are live, that are technically live service games that are not your battle royale. Because remember, it was these games like Fortnite, PUBG that made battle royale, the thing that everybody copied. But there were other live service games before that, or even that are popular that may not make as much money, but have a very
another game that isn't necessarily as violent as a battle royale or a shooter, Minecraft, can be classified as a games as a service type game. They continue to update it every couple of months, every quarter or so, with new content, new features, and it's more of a build. I mean, there is attacking that you can fight stuff, whatever, but it's a lot more of a bigger sandbox and creative area to create stuff. Be creative and make these different types of playscapes and dioramas and arts and all that stuff.
So I have an article right here. Let's start from the beginning. Let's look at the definition of what is a live service game, and let's go to the beginning. So I'm on TechJury, and it's kind of like Quora, and here it is. What are live service games? or games as a service are video games designed to keep the players playing for a long time. These types of games are kept alive for decades thanks to constant stream of content that's added after initial launch. Fortnite, those are games as a service. Still, for a game to be considered a game of service, it needs a substantial amount of post-release content. For example, The Witcher 3 has 2 expansion packs and 16 DLC, but nobody considers it a game as a service. And that's what we need to break down. Like, just because you release DLC doesn't mean you're what what so here's another thing. It says, how does a live service game work? Although games of this type constantly release new content, the content in question can vary from one game to the other. The main reason behind it is that games as a service don't belong to one game genre, and that's where I was saying, what would make a good one? So here, for instance, games like World of Warcraft and Destiny have released new stories and new missions and a number of expansion packs. On the other hand, the likes of Apex Legends and Fortnite introduce new maps, cosmetics, and weapons on a seasonal basis. Some of this content is free. For example, in Dota, you might get a random award like a skin for your favorite hero. Other times, you have to buy a season pass or a ticket to get access to certain events. So when that's why I wanted to break down what is a live service game, because we both listed a game that are two very, very different games: Grand Theft Auto Online and Fortnite. Um, but Final Fantasy Online,
14.
Genshin Impact. Is it 14?
Yeah, 14.
So yeah, um, there's pros and cons to both. I mean, for a game as a service, um, the top what who would you say are the top games of service? When I say game of service, who do you think is who would you say is the biggest?
I mean, I feel like the one that everybody talks about is Fortnite. I
Sure.
mean, they may not
Me
make the
too.
most money, but I feel like they have the most streams on Twitch and on Steam of people playing consistently. I think Grand Theft Auto
True.
still is raking in money, but I don't know that people are on Twitch playing it as much. I know Twitch. I know a big thing for Grand Theft Auto now is a lot of people doing like IRL streams where like they play it like it's a real life simulator of, oh, I'm going to be this person in Grand Theft Auto and I'm going to follow the rules, or I'm going to be a cop, or I'm going to be a robber, or
Well, I
um,
think. Go ahead.
well, no, I feel like those two are huge. I feel Call of Duty is huge,
Yep.
with Warzone, and
Hmm.
I don't think I've played a multiplayer online Call of Duty game once. My Twitch skills actually like snap reflex snap reflexes are not that fast, so I don't actually play online for people like that. So I don't keep up with
Hmm.
it. But I mean, I know Warzone is a huge thing. I guess they're on Warzone 2.0 now, the map. Um, but to me, when I think of a live service, essentially any game that is continually to support the base game with DLC or cosmetics or whatever that allow people to continue to buy into the system. That's kind of what
Yep.
I consider as a games as service. So
Now
like
remember.
MMORPGs, all that stuff.
Yep. So you mentioned MMORPGs, Dota 2, League of Legends. Um, we mentioned Call of Duty, Warzone, CS:GO, Fortnite, of course. Um, Apex Legends, Overwatch 2, Final Fantasy 14, A Realm Reborn, um, Rocket League, Destiny 2, GTA Online, we already mentioned, World of Warcraft, Genshin Impact, and uh, Valorant, and a new one to the list. To me, I bring it up only because it's new, and at one time it had a $20 million a player base of 20 million. It does not have that anymore. Multiverse. So, and the reason why I bring up Multiverse is because it uses all of the Warner Brothers characters,
Hmm.
and it is a very interesting game. I would have never came up with it. I think it's a stretch to think that people would want to play as all of the Warner Brothers characters, but it worked for a little while. I know the subscriber base has dropped off. I don't know if they'll be able to get it back up there?
I don't think so. I think the issue, I mean, from a personal, just somebody who has a casual
Mhm.
fascination with the fighting game community, from what I hear from people that are big in the community, like Maximilian, it seems like it was a novelty gimmick of because
Yep.
it kind of is a Smash Brothers type clone in terms of what you're doing with knocking people off stages and whatnot. But the thing that kind of set it apart was, like you said, having the WB property, but also being more of a 2-on-2 style fighting game, more so than Smash Brothers is, or any other type of platform brawler like that. And
Mhm.
I think while there will always be a passionate fan base, I don't think enough people are putting enough money into it for them to continue to bring in that stuff.
Well, I also think the characters that they announced. Smash Brothers has been going on for a while. It uses some of the most popular. I mean, Nintendo has some of the most recognizable legacy characters, but also Warner Brothers has some very storied characters, but they don't have them all on this game. And that's when you launch this game, people wanted to play as Rick and Morty if you own those characters. How you don't launch with those two characters is beyond me. Like what did they put in the Scooby Gang because the Warner Brothers owns them. The fact
Hmm.
that you didn't start with the entire Justice League off the rip is
Well, then
insane
if
to
they
me.
did that, why would you come back and pay more money?
What I'm saying is you have like the Justice League from Bruce Timm's and Dwayne McDuffie's run, like the core six. And then you bring in the rest of them. You say, okay, we have an update. Now you're going to get Justice League Unlimited. Now you're going to get Booster Gold and all of these other characters. But the fact is, you have to have those prime, those initial, like you need some of your more, I don't want to say obscure, but some of your other characters like a Brock Sampson would be great as something that somebody would pay for and somebody would want to play. I think that's where they messed up. They tried to do a little bit of everything for everybody instead of focusing on that gamer community, who these people would like to play as. And I think that's where they dropped the ball. You do an update and put in Suicide Squad is coming to multiverse. You see what I'm saying? And if you announce these things and do a good job of that, I think you have a good shot of keeping that game going.
I think another
And
issue is go ahead.
no, go ahead.
I said I think another issue is everybody wants to be the next Fortnite or the next Grand Theft Auto Online, but you see that you have that big idea, oh, we can make all this money, but they may not have the infrastructure or think about the behind the scenes stuff of what it takes to actually make that run. I think a lot of the
No,
newer shooter ones, specifically Halo, and I'll just use Halo because it's such a big name. They don't have the infrastructure in place to continue to provide enough content for people. People consume so much gameplay that, oh, I think I've made enough content the last 3 months, and people will burn through it in like 3 weeks, and you're like, oh
yep.
crap. I mean, as you know, neither one of us are game developers. We talk about it all the time, but I imagine it takes forever to make stuff and to have that pipeline of, okay, it's going to take this amount of time to develop it, this amount of time to play test it, this amount of time to get it out the door. You're going to need two or three companies to kind of do that same model year in year out to have a continual amount of content for people to be satiated. And I think that's the issue is that people haven't figured out. Most companies haven't figured out what that release schedule is to make people happy. We mentioned Apex Legends. I know Apex Legends is huge, but when I hear some people talk about it on IGN and other different like big gaming sites are kind of like Apex Legends has kind of slowed down in content. And I played a little bit. I thought it was fine. Again, not for me just because I can't keep up with it. But I can only imagine if you're burning through content so fast, how do you create so much stuff?
Well, I think part of that is if when you think about the big names who are games as service, or part of it is when you look at who are the huge um, games that made it. They were games. So let's take Grand Theft Auto, right? Look at Grand Theft Auto. They have the infrastructure in place, but not only that, they actually had games that they could pull from. Rocksteady's been making Grand Theft Auto games for how long? So it's not hard for them to have already pulled from all of the games that they've made to throw in a new map, to throw in new content. They've already built 5 best-selling games. Like that franchise is one of the best-selling franchises of all time. So when they made a live service game, they already had the wherewithal to put together that game and all the bells and whistles that they could have thrown in it. You mentioned Fortnite. Fortnite is not the same game, but also Fortnite is supported by who? Epic. And
Hmm.
Epic has the amount of money to throw together and keep people online because they're always updating the game, whether it comes to cosmetics, whether it comes to, and keep in mind, Fortnite isn't just keeping people online because of the gameplay. Yes, the gameplay is good, but also Fortnite has done a very good job of making it part of the conversation as far as they have concerts in Fortnite. Remember
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
They have
Every
done
time
it.
I'm going to work, up 77 to go into Charlotte, I hear a commercial about. I think it's what's the one with Drake? State Farm? Not Drake. Whoever their guy is, their insurance person. I always hear about a State Farm concert in Fortnite or whatever,
Mhm.
which is just crazy to me.
So I mean, and remember this. Remember when Rise of the Last Skywalker or whatever what was the last name of that Star Wars movie?
Uh, Last Jedi,
No, that was the second one. Rise of the Skywalker or something like that. I
maybe,
don't.
maybe
But
some.
remember this. They had part of the movie or the prequel before the movie came out
Yeah,
in
thank you, Taylor
Fortnite.
Maru. Yeah,
Remember, so spoiler alert for anybody, the Emperor comes back in Rise of Skywalker. The Emperor comes back. The explanation for the Emperor coming back was in Fortnite.
hmm,
And that's what made a lot of people mad with Rise of Skywalker because they didn't do a good job of actually putting a movie together and then put in a crucial detail in a format that nobody actually saw. And I'm not saying nobody actually saw it as far as like no one really saw it. I'm saying it wasn't part of the movie.
hmm,
And so it was on Fortnite. So Fortnite has done a very good job of insulating itself and making sure whatever movie comes out, oh, that character is going to be in Fortnite. They have insulated themselves. And so where other games have not done that, Fortnite has. Fortnite has built a great relationship with movie companies. Remember when Vin Diesel, thank you, give me that back. Thank you.
it's his.
You win that round, buddy. All right. Just see we switch sides. So I got it now. So remember when Fast and the Furious came out? Vin Diesel was a playable character. Get the car, you know.
I was going to ask: are the Fast and Furious characters in Fortnite? I don't know.
Yes,
They are
I,
okay.
I, I remember seeing.
Like it makes
Um,
sense.
yeah, and so, but think about it. Remember when the Marvel movies were coming out and they were hitting strong, and they were putting some of the Marvel characters in Fortnite. Play as Thor. Play as this person. Play as. So they have done an excellent job where other games have not done that
Hmm.
because their game doesn't allow for that. Their game go you can play as Goku in Fortnite.
Yeah,
So you can't do
you
that in
can
Halo.
have Goku versus Ripley from Aliens.
Yep. You can't. This is the thing.
Yeah,
You can't do that in Halo.
right.
So you're already at a disadvantage because your game may not allow for that. So I think that's part of it. And then two, I think let's look at some of the games of service that have not made it. Anthem. Anthem was ruined from the inside. They wanted that to be a games of service, but they didn't even know what they wanted that or a multiplayer game and then a live service game, but they didn't even know what kind of game they wanted. When you
Hmm.
read from Polygon and certain people who have done deep dives, I think Kotaku did one too. When they talk about what happened with this game and the development of this game, oh my gosh, how this game even came out is amazing. It's a
Yeah,
testament. So I think that also plays a part in it. In your development stages, you have to know what kind of game you're going to make And if you're going to pivot, you better be damn sure you know how to pivot, aka Fortnite. Because for every Fortnite, and they ain't but one, there are hundreds of live service games that did make it. And here's the one that I always poop on because they had the biggest lead over any other game. No other game had this lead. No other game had this built-in fan base, and they fudged it up. Crystal Dynamics Avengers.
Marvel's Avengers.
Marvel's Avengers. Was it
Yeah.
was it what Crystal
I mean,
Dynamics?
it is Crystal Dynamics, but it's called Marvel's Avengers.
Marvel's well, I I will say this. You messed up having the largest commercial for your game. Remember that game came out after Infinity War and after Endgame, and you couldn't get a game off the ground that made it more than 2 years after that, after
Mhm.
you released it. So
Yeah,
that's why I
and
say
we have a
go
few
ahead.
people in the chat. I mean, I played it. We've had some other people in the chat as well. Um, who did play Marvel's Avengers when it first came out, and it was fun. But I think the issue was it goes back again to there isn't enough content. Like the single player was a lot of fun, but that multiplayer, after you play those 4 or 5 maps 30 times, you're kind of like, what else is coming?
Well, not only that, they changed the tiers of how you grinded to achieve stuff. And remember, you had to grind because level 50 was the cap, or was it
Mhm.
30? Was
50.
it 50 was a cap? And remember how they changed the grind? Because I remember because we talked about it. I had the game for months, paid $10 for it, didn't play it until
This year,
was it this year? Yeah,
I feel like it might have been this year
it was
or
this year. Yeah,
close to the end of last
yeah,
year. Yeah.
yeah. Um, I think I played it after I finished Spider Man, so you're probably right. Um, but that goes to show you they did not know what to do with a game literally based on two of the biggest movies of all time. Like and they didn't know what to do with that game. And before the game even came out, the game people were like the gameplay was okay, but people talked about the character designs. And again, this is the thing that I said. People got mad when I was critical of the game because I said if you're going to make a game based on the MCU Avengers, you needed to get the cast, or you needed at least to act as if these were the MCU Avengers. And they did. And I understand and I like the story. But if you were going to go that route, you should have just went with different Avengers. Yeah, you can have your big three. You can have your holy trinity of Thor, Iron Man, and Captain America. But then bring in other characters that we hadn't seen on screen. Bring in, and they messed up because you had a huge base of people who would have played and paid for all of those skins, for all
Hmm.
of those different designs that these characters had. And they messed it up. And that's why I said I think it's also a lot of people just don't know what they're doing. They just see a game of service and they're like, oh, this is just going to print money. And they don't know how to make a game, much less a game of service. So, Justice
Uh,
League, go ahead.
I was going to say, John G in the chat says, I enjoyed Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 more. Yeah, I agree. Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 was a lot of fun. Exclusive to Switch, but it was a lot of fun just in terms of getting to play with so many different Marvel characters, whether it was Avengers, X-Men characters. I think the Fantastic Four is in there, right? Or maybe not. Yeah, I think the Fantastic Four finally made it in there. They had some Midnight Suns characters in there. A lot of different games, a lot of different characters to choose from. It was a lot of fun.
But so yeah, so Suicide Squad kills the Justice League. Everybody saw the state of play,
Hmm.
and we're commenting on the fact of it's just you're shooting purple stuff out. You're not really utilizing the characters as far as like their
Why
powers.
does King Shark have a gun and why is he not eating people?
There you go. Like
Yeah.
it's I understand why Deadshot has a gun and a jetpack. I understand why Captain Boomerang may use a boomerang and a gun. King Shark should be your muscle.
Hmm.
Harley Quinn should be using a mallet or a bat. Like I
Hmm.
just like I it's to me, once again, it's a core misunderstanding of who the characters are. Because again, you already have a player base install who would want to play as play as the Suicide Squad, and maybe if you rescue the Justice League, each Justice League member, as you rescue or fight and defeat this character, that character, then you can maybe switch out one of
Hmm.
your Suicide Squad characters for a Justice League character, or maybe have in a sense of it's the Suicide Squad. So maybe not just have four characters, maybe start with six or seven or eight, and then you
Well,
build your team.
yeah, but I wonder tinfoil hat theory here. They give you four to start with because you can do four-player co-op, and they're going to add. I wonder if they're going to add DLC characters later.
Well, here's the thing: you can add DLC characters later. Suicide Squad has a huge history of
Sure.
characters of you can just throw in that are some are cannon fodder, some are actually pretty good. I'm trying to think. Was it Tom? I think it was it Tom Taylor. There's a recent Suicide Squad book that came out um, where the Suicide Squad captures what they think are some eco terrorists or some climate change woke people, and the whole time uh, they infiltrated the Suicide Squad because they had their own agenda. They were some great characters. I don't know if DC is still using them. I think it was Tom Taylor's book. I think it's Suicide Squad Bad Blood. Um, Very interesting characters. It wouldn't be hard to make those people actual characters. And I think that's once again a testament of not understanding the fundamental design of how to design a game and what you have with these characters, not misunderstanding the characters that you're actually making a game for.
Sure.
And I think that's part of the same problem that happened with the Marvel's Avengers that I think is that possibly could happen with Justice League. And the reason why I brought it up is because now we don't even know when Justice League is coming out because they,
Suicide Squad.
huh?
You keep calling Justice League, but
Sorry,
Suicide Squad.
Suicide Squad's coming out. We don't even know
Yeah,
when it's
it
coming
looks.
out.
It seems like it'll probably still be this year, just later a few months past
That's what they say.
June date or the May
Yeah,
date or whatever it was.
that's what they say. But
Yeah,
let's see.
and it's unfortunate because, like you said, a lot of people enjoy the Arkham games. I really like the Arkham games. Um, I I can quibble over the storyline for Arkham Knight. It's kind of like fine, and the Batmobile stuff was kind of whatever. But overall, those games are a lot of fun. They looked great. They played great. They brought back the licensed superhero game that we hadn't had in a while, a good licensed superhero game. And it just sucks because I know those developers worked so hard, and for all we know, the game could be fun, but it's just we are so fixated on, myself included, on what these characters aren't doing that it's just tough to see whether or not the locomotion of the game is fun or not. And
Well,
I just feel bad for those developers.
and I agree with you. The game could be fun, and we could be crapping on something. The problem with it is that I think everyone is trying to make. I understand that whole idea behind this is art meets commerce. What video games are. You're trying to tell a story. You're trying to keep the player engrossed and keep the player playing, and give them something to play for and stakes. But you're also trying to make money. And I think sometimes instead of making a good game and understanding that people will want to play this game, the mindset is how can we keep them playing and keep making us money instead of making a good game, because there are a lot of games that are not online games that people are still playing, people are still discovering. Witcher 3 was an amazing game. People are still playing it.
Hmm.
It is not it's not an MMO, it's not an MMORPG, it's not a live service game, and they have made serious money off that game. So I'm not just saying that there's no place for these games. I just think that when you make these games, you have to look at what's out there and look at the infrastructure that they had and that they were working with. It's hard to make Halo a multiplayer, huge game of service when you've rebooted the entire game. Like this is like Halo Infinite is a soft reboot, right?
Kind of, yeah.
So,
It doesn't really talk about the stuff from five so much.
mhm. So imagine if you were able to use all of that stuff in Halo Infinite. Because, and here's another thing, Halo Infinite got pushed back an entire year because people were like, this isn't next gen.
Mhm.
I'm still going to be able to play this on an Xbox Series S.
Mhm.
So they had to go back and redo the colors, redo the gameplay, and it came out and people liked it. But it was not the Halo people thought it was going to be. And I think part of that is because you tried to rebuild something from the ground floor, make it a game of service, and you didn't have enough stuff because you ignored years, maybe even decades of things that came before it that you did not put in this game. So, like, what's the end game? What's the point? One of the good things that could have happened is that on this map or on this Halo, being able to go to past Halos, being able to go to past planets and replaying some of those areas that you played in the original game. If you could have done that, I mean, that right there in and of itself, I mean, these people who play Halo are Halo fans. They would have loved for an opportunity to go back to play at some of these original missions and original maps in an updated,
Well, with
nice.
that one, maybe I would push back at that only because like that exists and it's readily available in the Master Chief Collection.
True, but
So I don't know that people care enough to play it in the Slipspace engine when they can just play it in Master Chief Collection on Xbox One.
but here's the thing. That's my point. In other words, you got to go to another game to play that. Imagine if you would have updated and that would have been part of the game. In other words, part of the storyline. That's what I'm saying. Like, don't make it like this, like you want to play this old game. I'm saying go back to those areas, redesign them, redo them, make them fresh for these new players, and then put that in the game and put those as actual DLC story content. That would have been a great idea. Like, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, you would have had, yes, you had people who were buying the Master Chief Collection, but then you would have had people playing these games and going back to different areas. And don't say you can't do it because there's literally games right now that are just being remastered and re-released. Where are you going? And you better not bite me. I'm gonna bite you back.
To me, I feel like I think the bigger issue with Halo is they didn't have the infrastructure going for it for the multiplayer.
Okay.
Because and only reason I said is because it seems like a lot of the chat is the storyline is fine, but like what are we doing in terms of maps? We're not getting enough maps. We're not getting enough content, and they kept cutting back on the features that they said they were gonna have when the game launched. Like Halo was known for being one of the few games, or not one of the few games, but one of the games that has 4-player couch co-op. I still don't know if that ever came to Halo, and that was supposed to be in. What's up, Tejan J? That was supposed to be in Halo Infinite. Like, oh yeah, we will get couch co-op. I think they kind of got rid of it because they were too busy trying to work on the multiplayer stuff. I don't know. I think it's just allocation of resources. And again, I don't run $1 billion company, so I don't know how that works. But I think it's just when you make that stuff, you got to figure out, okay, can we continue to make this pipeline? And one other thing, where I'll let you go, is just one thing that I think is interesting is if you look at this from the whole, I think this just shows one how hard it is to make a successful game, and also how long games stay in development. Because I think if people knew what was going to happen in Marvel's Avengers and see it tank, and games were made maybe over the course of a year and not like 5 or 6 years, I don't think there would be as many games as services, because I think people would have stopped. But I think the issue is everybody kind of started at the same time working on games as service games. Marvel's Avengers was one of the more recent ones that came out and failed, but you already put 4 or 5 years in this. You can't stop it, because that's just like, at least I don't think you can stop it, because that's like millions of dollars wasted. I feel like you got to at least put the game out and try and recoup something.
Well, here's the thing. I think part of it, I think it is part of that, but I also think there's a huge part in the sense of it, while these people are making games, not paying attention to what's going on in the world. Like, and I think that's a real big problem that game developers have had. And it's not just unique to game developers. And I know I'm saying that with the baby triceratops in my head because
Yeah, you are.
So, perfect example in our business, right? You work at a television station in Charlotte, North Carolina. I work in Columbia, South Carolina. We have noticed in journalism and at TV stations, they keep doing the same thing over and over again, not realizing you're losing out to TikTokers doing this shit and not and staying insulated in their little bunkers here in journalism world and not trying new things and not paying attention to what's actually going on in the world. And they keep doing this. Well, we did it this way, so we should always do it. And I think a lot of game developers and a lot of game designers are doing the same thing when it comes to management not paying attention to what's going on as they make these games. And because you talk about these life cycles it takes to develop these games and not forward thinking in these games and saying, okay, by the time this comes out, is this still going to be the new hotness? And I think that's a huge problem that video game developers are not paying attention to, because when Marvel's Avengers, when that first trailer dropped, people were like, Black Widow looks like Lord Farquaad. Farquaad. That's the first thing people said. And they were like, the voice. And then they were like, ugh. How you stay in developing that game and they notice that? You see what I'm saying? Like, and I think that's not just.
Well, I think they did notice it, but like, if you notice, like her character model looks different now from the
Oh
trailer.
yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. And
I think they noticed it, but I feel like the issue is like, I mean, what you gonna do? Just get rid of the character that you created?
No, I'm not saying that get rid of it. What I'm saying is, it comes up. You know, like if you work on something, perfect example. You're an editor. You are an editor and you are an executive producer. A reporter works all day on a story and they only have that vision for that story. A lot of times these video game developers don't have someone to come in and from an outside perspective to look and be like and point these things out to them. And I think that's what happens. I think everybody, it's all groupthink. And no one had come from the outside comes in and is like, hey man, you know there's a hole in this story right here. And nobody, you see what I'm saying? And I think that's one of the biggest problems. Um, but I toss it to you. So we've talked about games of service for a while. What do you think would make a great game, a game of service? What like is there a property you have in mind? Because there's two I have in my mind that I know would make a great game as service.
I think the biggest one, and they won't do it because they continue to make money, sports games.
Yep. Which one were you going to say?
I think any sports games, but I mean honestly, it's Madden, right?
Yep.
I mean
Yep.
Madden is the big thing.
Yep.
And I'm not an economist. I like math, but I'm not great at it, so I don't know. I can't say for sure that you make more money doing it this way, but it just seems logically to me, instead of releasing a new $60 game every year, you get people to pay $20 for a season pass, and that gets you the new teams, the new players, all that kind of stuff. Because, and people, if people who are in the chat and know this better, I feel pretty confident that the differences between Madden 23 and Madden 22 are not huge. I could be wrong, and maybe I'll die on that stake, but I don't feel like they're that huge that you can't just say, hey, what we're doing this year is we're going to update players and stadiums and all that kind of stuff, and maybe you just pay $10 or $15.
I agree with you. They're incremental. Now, if you look at Madden 14 to 24, yes, there are
Sure.
huge changes.
Sure.
Here's the thing that I have a problem with, and I have, for me, Madden is the perfect. If Madden was a game of service, a live game service, I think Madden could be. They wouldn't have they wouldn't have the biggest player base. They would not. But you know what they would have? The most money. You know why? Because you could charge for dances. You could charge for updating those dances that players do. You could charge for the new skins. And here's another thing that you could do. You could charge and you could make the season concurrent as they're playing the game. And that's the one thing no one else can do. If
They
you
they
have,
they do that now.
no. I'm not talking like I'm talking like as the game goes on and that game comes out Sunday or Saturday night, that injury report comes out, you can't play with that character.
I believe that's in the game now.
I I I I want that, and those are the kind of things I want
Yeah,
to see. And
sure.
that's what I'm saying. You make a game that basically updates itself as the season goes on. And now I don't haven't played Madden in years, so I don't know. But that's the kind of stuff that you could do. You put in a game of service that is football. Give me that. How did you even get this? Here, baby crack. Here.
Yeah, I feel like it's probably a combination of things. Clearly, they have a system in place that works because people continue to buy the new game every year. So clearly, the system does work, but there's ways to improve it. And I'm wondering if they went with the model we're suggesting, does that mean you have to lay people off? I don't know. Again, I don't know how
No,
development works.
no,
I mean,
because honestly,
I don't know that.
honestly, I don't think so. Because so here's if you go to video game charts overall, Madden has sold 130 million copies, right? So each year they average around. So last year, according to video game charts, they sold 7.4 million copies. The year before that, with Madden, come here, buddy. Where are you going? Um, hold on, I'm trying to. So what I'm saying is, I don't think they would have to lay people off because I think if you because you would have the game would continuously going
Hmm.
instead of buying a new game every year. That new season is a new season pass.
Hmm.
And if you want to play with updated statistics, like I'm not saying that you can't play the game. Like once you buy the game, you own it. You can keep playing it and not have it connected to the internet. It's not online. You just won't get updated stats. You
Yeah,
get the stats of the year that you played.
yeah.
But every year you pay an extra X amount of dollars. You get updated stats. If that team got sold, your team got sold. Like you play as the season goes on with those things. And I think that to me is one of the things that they could do that they would already be. Because here's the thing: the NFL, when it comes to sports in America, is already king. No one comes close to viewership because there's only 17 of these games. So each one of these games is like a playoff game.
Or 17 weeks or whatever.
17, no, there's regular season games. So
17
17
games.
of them. There's 4 preseason, and then you have the postseason. That's where you make your money. And then you tie that stuff. So then you have, because again, Goku isn't in real life. But if you have Deshaun Watson, I'm just using that name because somebody put Deshaun Watson's name in the chat. If you have Deshaun Watson attached to the game for the week, Deshaun Watson's playing this week. Play against Deshaun Watson at such and such time. Or, whoever it is, Travis Kelsey, Patrick Mahomes. That's what I'm saying. You have a player base that already buys tickets, jersey, season pass, season tickets. You already have that. So
Hmm.
why not pivot off of that and take your huge subscriber base and just put the game as a game of service? To me, this is a no-brainer. My second game would be the WWE.
I feel
I
like we're
mean,
in each other's heads. I love it.
to me, the fact that the WWE is not a game of service is a travesty because you could continuously update with new, like as the story goes on in WWE, it goes on in the game, and you could choose to play in that. And you basically you say let's play real life mode, and as the story is updated throughout real life mode, that story is updated in the game. And
I
I
was
think,
thinking more of just like which wrestlers are on the roster. Because I
yep,
feel like the only issue with the storyline is you're never going to be current with the storyline
I
just because of the way they like development works. If for right now, I'll give you a perfect example. As I'm getting back into wrestling again, the biggest storyline right now is the Bloodline storyline with Roman Reigns and the Usos.
yeah,
They had somebody named Sami Zayn who was a honorary Uso, and he was working with them. Um, Sammy's or Roman Reigns, Usos, I believe they're all of Samoan heritage
hmm,
or
yeah.
Polynesian heritage. Sami Zayn is a white Canadian dude. Um, and I bring that up to say because Sami Zayn is actually becoming one of my favorite wrestlers. He's a lot of fun to watch and funny on the mic. But so they made him an honorary Uso. He's working with them, And the most recent thing that happened is he's kind of split away from the bloodline because he kept getting abused by Roman Reigns, and people are like, Roman Reigns is now one of, if not the biggest heel in the WWE. And Sami Zayn's fought him at Elimination Chamber. Doesn't matter. But if you play 2K23, whatever the new one is, when they were developing that game, Sami is still part of the Bloodlines faction, but he's not anymore. And I don't know how fast they could take him off the faction, because like when you hear the commentators, sometimes they'll talk about Sami Zayn as being part of the Bloodline. It's like, well, he's not really in the Bloodline anymore. So it's kind of weird to hear that.
And that's what I'm saying. Like that would be amazing. Like if you're playing a game, and as the storylines are going on TV, that storyline changes in your game. That's the one thing that sports has that no one else has, because all the other games you have to think about, okay, what are we going to do? What are we going to, this kind of stuff. If you have a direct line with your developer and a team of people, now this is going to take a monumental task. That's why I said, you're not laying anybody off. You're hiring more people, because you have to turn that storyline within a week.
I feel like that's going to lead to crunch.
Well, here's the thing. I think
I don't know how you get that stuff in there.
And that's what I'm saying. I don't. And that's why I said maybe you have lead time. That's where I think you have a little bit of lead time. And the WWE, to me, does a very good job of keeping their storylines close to the chest or whatever. I think I don't know how you would pull it off, but I think with these new engines going on, with chat, and I hate saying this, with Chat GPI, I think that should be the future with making live service games. Your sports games would be the best ones because you already have a built-in subscriber base. You want some more baby crack? Come here. And all right, here it is. Here's the Triceratops. There we go. And I think you already have people who are willing to spend thousands of dollars. So they would already pay $10, $15 or a couple of dollars just for the new shoes that, I'm just throwing it out there. DeAndre Hopkins wears a new pair of shoes, right? Or a type of shoe. In 2 weeks, you can wear that shoe. Or in a week, you could wear that particular shoe. Like, that's the kind of stuff that I think would make money that has nothing to do with necessarily the gameplay as far as like changing the gameplay, because the game is the same game.
Sure.
That's the kind of stuff that I think could happen that should happen in a game, a live service game, if it's a sports game. Yeah.
Another one, and this is kind of a cheat because it already exists, but I think it's an example of something that works. Fighting games as a games as service. I don't know if you played Killer Instinct, the most recent one that was on Xbox, not like the one on Super Nintendo. So
last time I was back in the day.
Yeah, so they had Killer Instinct 1 and 2, then they had like Killer Instinct 64, then it went away, and then Microsoft bought, they got the rights or whatever. Oh, because they probably had Rare, and that would have made it, right? I don't know, doesn't matter. Anyway, with Xbox One, they brought back Killer Instinct, and they had one season of it, and they had so many characters you could play as. And then they added new seasons every year and a half or so, and added maybe 8 or 9 characters. And it worked. People are hoping they're going to make another Killer Instinct with my Xbox Series X. They're wondering where it's at. But I mean, I think at the end of the newest Killer Instinct, there might have been close to 25, 26 characters. And the idea is you give a trial character that people can play as for free, and you get to play part of the storyline, part of the arcade mode. But if you want access to the other characters, you might pay $2 or $3 per character to add them to the game. Now, you could always fight against them as a computer, but if you wanted to play them and learn the moves, you would have to buy the character. Or you could buy them in different bundles. You could buy different costumes. I mean, it's worked for Killer Instinct. It's worked for Street Fighter V with Capcom. Street Fighter V was exclusive to PC and PlayStation 4. And they essentially would do a season pass that would give you new characters, it would give you more costumes, and a lot of that money they would make, they would use that money to fund their esports fighting tournaments for Capcom Cup. So it's
Okay.
all kind of like a big cyclical thing. They're just like, oh,
Yeah.
hey, make sure to buy this DLC. That way, your prize pool is going to be even bigger at the end of the year when you get to
Yeah.
the big Capcom Cup. I would imagine they're probably going to do the same thing for Street Fighter Six when it comes out in June. But I think games as a service works for fighting games as well. You just have to find the right model for it.
That's the biggest problem. I think everybody is trying to make these huge these huge games, and I think they don't understand. And if you look at the ones that don't make it, I think part of it is that they tried something new with a new IP instead of taking an IP that they already have and being like, okay, we've already got the video game models, we already got the engine. Why don't we just build this game as and keep the story going in this universe? I
Mhm.
think that's one that would and yeah. Um, One I think would have made a great game as a service because you already have the content. Um, and I don't know the this would take a huge under it would be a huge undertaking, and I don't know if they even have the stomach for it. But let's take BioWare's two games, Dragon Age and Mass Effect. You've already built huge games with huge lore in it, right? You already have like three games in Mass Effect. Make it a game of service, and then the end game is living in that world after all of this happened, and now the factions that you had to get together to fight off their version of the Borg. Um, how does the universe or the galaxy coalesce now that the big bad is gone?
Mhm.
Like now do you go back to old rivalries? Do the Geth and the Corn still hate each other? And like that's the kind of stuff I think people would love to see because again, you already have three huge games. So you already built these worlds, you already built these environments, you already have these characters. Make it open and then make the end game living in that world. Kind of like all these huge things that happen in Destiny, right? Yeah, all these huge things you have in Destiny, right? These these huge seasons and these unlike Destiny where you're fighting, and these new bad guys show up. The bad guys are each other, the people that you just teamed up with. You know, the Krogan. How do the Krogan now function now that they can reproduce? Do they turn
Mhm.
back into the old Krogan? Um, like that's the kind of stuff that I think would make an easier live service game. Now, here's the thing: it does muck up the works if you're going to do a sequel, which they're trying to do a
Mhm.
Mass Effect 4, because you already have an idea of what you want Mass Effect 4 to be. But that's the risk you take if you make a um a Mass Effect 4, you have the live service game running. So that's to me those same thing with Dragon Age. You've built three Dragon Age games. You've already built the world. So what happens after the big bad? How do these factions all work together? And that's I think to me that is a more interesting game and would make a great live service game because then you're just updating it constantly and then you can build up to a new big bad. You can
Mhm.
build up to that new thing and then you got to do it all over again. Or can you fight this big bad, kind of like with Eve Online, where you have like all of these different where their currency works and it's like real money. Well, you have a faction of Krogan, you have splinter factions, and do you guys all work together, to fight this, like it? Eve Online has huge battles that basically changes the face of the game, and I think that to me is what. makes a great live service that people are actually putting in real world like when those ships get destroyed, that's real money. Like I
Hmm.
don't play EVE Online. I tried. Their Splinter game where like I played that for a little bit and it was okay. But I love the EVE Online universe. I've read some of the books, I watched some of the videos and the breakdowns of these, huge battles. These people are losing real money in that game. You okay, buddy?
I wanted to get to Big Brad
Mm-hmm.
85 when we were talking about. I think this was probably when we were talking about like the WWE
Mm-hmm.
and sports games and how to keep the storylines updated. He talked about the Sci-Fi Channel tried that with the Defiance TV series from 2013 to 2015, and I didn't watch Defiance, but I do kind of remember a video game coming out around the same time that was kind of going back and forth, tying in between the TV
I
show
do
and the
remember
video
it. Yeah,
game. Yeah,
I do remember it.
just wanted
It did.
to bring that up.
And again, that's gonna those kind of things take some real planning. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't know if anybody has the stomach for that because that undertaking takes a lot. That's a lot of planning. That is a lot of work, and it's easy to just build some maps and just throw in some new guns and skins. You
Hmm.
know, you're looking at the amount of work it would take and the amount of money it takes to just do the same thing over again and getting a large chunk of change for it. But Fortnite's big for a reason because they have done things that no other battle royale has done. They have made themselves part of the conversation. Remember when Fortnite went down? Do
Hmm.
you remember? Like, do you remember? That was a story in our newscast. Fortnite was
Hmm.
offline, and remember, it was just a black screen and a countdown.
Yeah,
Like no other, like name another game that has done that. That is taken.
at least that has reached the mass
That's
media.
what
Yeah.
I'm saying. Name another game that has reached that is punched through to the rest of the world to where CNN is taking notice. Where at local media is like, hey, did you hear about this in Fortnite? And I think that's a testament to Epic making a great game. I think that's a testament to game designers and saying, okay, not only do we need to make a great game and make it fun and have all this other bells and whistles, but we need to incorporate real world events, whether it be movies or characters from other franchises. And that's another thing too. When you make a game of service, can you do that? How do you integrate? Because again, in Halo, you can't bring in Goku. When Enter the Spider Verse 2 comes out or Across the Spider Verse, I guarantee you will see those characters in Fortnite. I'll put money on it. You will see Miles Morales in there. So
Is he not already
it
in there?
probably is, but I'm not. What I'm saying is, Enter the Spider Verse is going to be in there, or Across the Spider Verse,
Mm.
whatever that video game is. Um, yeah, whatever. When Fast 10 comes out, you will see some of those characters in there. Um, and it's hard for you to be able to do that when your game has a universe that is only within its universe. It's self-contained. You can't bring in other people like that. You could do that with The Sims.
They already do that with The Sims.
That's what I'm saying. You could do that with The Sims. You can't do that with and here's the thing: Call of Duty started to figure that out because Warzone.
Yeah, they put Shredder in
Mhm.
there. I mean, and they got the presidents. So yeah.
Call of Duty started to figure it out. Call of Duty's over there taking notes, and they're like, and Fortnite's like, hey man, you can copy my page, just change a couple of, and they Call of Duty's like, nah, I'm copying everything you doing because that's how Fortnite got big. So, but yeah, I thought it was an interesting conversation. We like because we don't play these games. Like the only game of service that I play is probably Warframe, but I've fallen off of Warframe. Um, Destiny, which I probably will get back in once I get Game Pass again, and the Division. But that's because I enjoyed those storylines, and I really didn't play that much against other people. I didn't do a lot of the raids. I just enjoyed played the game, leveled up, and did some of the season passes. But I'm still not one of those people. But I enjoyed those games. Mm.
All right. That's our conversation. We talked about stuff. A couple closing notes before we get out of here. So next week we will be streaming only to the We Tryin' Twitch and We Tryin' YouTube. We are not going to be streaming to the News 19 Nerds. I feel like we've been doing that enough, so we're going to try and see what happens when we only stream to that. So, guys, if you want to see us next week, hopefully we'll be live next week. Ooh, wait, is WrestleMania next week? Ooh, I might not. We might not be here live next week.
It might be tape.
I got to see WrestleMania.
That's fine. We can take it.
Yeah.
We'll come up.
But anyway, next time we stream live, it will just be to the We Tryin' outlets. We'll see what that gets us here, just to give you guys a heads up. So make sure you are subscribed for We Tryin', and We Tryin' y'all at Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook.
Well, it's not just to see what it gets us. We started this channel so we can have our own channel, so that we could leave the nest, so to speak, and do this on our own without any, and it's time for us to grow up and put. Hey, where's the dinosaur? Here. It's time for us to grow up and leave and be big birds and not be, sucking down food from mama bird or whatever you want to call it. Hey, stop doing that. I'm gonna hit your head. Come here. Yep. So that's part of the reason why we want to do it. We want to be independent. We want to have our own, and we can't do that if we're still, the umbilical cord is still tied to the Nerds account and still tied to the Nerds. And I want to say we've enjoyed our time at the Nerds as far as like the channel, doing everything. Without the Nerds channel, we wouldn't have this channel. We wouldn't be able, like, the things that we did at the Nerds channel cannot be duplicated as far as like the events we got to cover, the things we got to do, the interviews that, the people we met. It was amazing. But that chapter's closing, so it's time for us to grow up.
What got you through the week?
It was a combination of things. Poker Face was I'm enjoying that, and I started watching Severance.
That is a weird show. It's really good. Where are you at right now?
I'm on episode 3. I only do one episode a day to like digest it. So I don't do anything else. I'm not on the computer. I'm not looking around. I'm not on my phone. I'm literally watching to see what this show is about, and I like it. It's the thought process behind it is a very interesting concept. I remember when the show came out, when they were like, "Would you do this?" And I was like, at first I was like, "Yeah, I would do it." And then as I'm watching this, and as the show came on, not even as I was watching it, but as I was thinking about the decision, and I was really thinking about it, I was like, "Oh no, I wouldn't." And now watching the show, I'm like, "Oh hell no, I wouldn't." So,
indeed.
What about you?
A few things on the TV side. Still watching my wrestling documentaries. Getting excited for WrestleMania. What is it, 39 or 40? That might be WrestleMania 39. Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes is the big main event. That'll be fun.
Man, Cody Rhodes looks like a super villain. Like, how has no one put Cody Rhodes in a freaking TV, a movie or something, and just been like, "Hey, man, fight this dude"? Because Cody Rhodes looks like somebody, like they grew him in a super villain vat.
Yeah,
like
I can see that.
He literally walks around, and I'm like, that dude's trying to take over the world. I don't know how. I don't know why. It just looks that way.
It's funny that you say that because, like, right now in the storyline, he's the good guy.
Don't believe it.
Yeah, I mean, well, because Roman Reigns is like the ultimate bad guy right now. It's crazy the change that he's made from being a face to a heel.
I'll put it like this: Cody Rhodes will go back to being a bad guy, just like Hulk Hogan went back to being a good guy.
Okay, fair enough.
Well,
I'm doing that.
A good guy in wrestling.
In wrestling, yeah, there we go. Put that caveat.
Put that in there, because in real life,
yeah. And then video game wise, so the Diablo 4 beta is out right now.
Yeah, I want to download that.
Yeah, I'm playing it right now. So as soon as we finish this, I'm about to go continue playing it. I've been playing it. I've enjoyed it. I've never played Diablo before, but I'm liking it so far. And I'm trying to get to the level cap to get the free item that you will unlock when the game comes out for real. So
Yeah, I'm trying to.
because the beta ends Sunday night.
Oh, really? Oh, I'm not going. Oh, I'm
Yep.
not going to make it then because I saw because you could if you bought the double decker from KFC, you would have got the beta for free, or
Well, the beta is now the beta is free.
Okay, because you would have got
Like this weekend,
Yeah.
it's because last weekend you had to get the double down
Yeah.
or whatever, but now it's free for everyone.
And I was like, I like my arteries. I didn't need
Yeah.
I didn't need that, but I kind of want to get into it, but I'm like, you know what? I got it.
Cody Rhodes is Dusty Rhodes' second son
Yes.
behind I can't think of Goldust's first name or real
But yeah,
name.
because all his
It might have been
all his
Dusty.
kids wrestle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Renee was asking that question. Yeah.
Oh, another thing. Michael watched Megan, which is a huge. Y'all need to really compliment him for it because that's he. Let me put it like this: Michael don't do scary, and he did scary.
Well, that should also tell you that movie definitely isn't scary.
But
it is just silly.
But the thing is, you watched it. I'm gonna watch it. Try to watch it this weekend. So
Dustin, thank you, Dustin. I thought it was Dustin.
So we can do a review. You're also going to go see John Wick tomorrow. I've already seen it.
John Wick and Dungeons and Dragons.
So I will. So there will be a review shortly, within a week of both of those movies, and so yeah. So you can thank Michael for this Megan review. We know Megan has been out, but we don't normally do scare like other people, other channels, But here's the thing: anytime Michael goes out of his comfort zone, or I go out of my comfort zone, I feel like we should.
Hold on 1 second. Hold on. Zayla Maru, you a damn lie. Go ahead.
What did it say? He'd be watching Evil Dead. Yeah, you ain't heard that. Because I'm gonna
You
tell you right
never
now,
heard that.
I ain't watching Evil Dead. I saw that
Like,
trailer.
no, sir.
Sir, there's a cheese grater in that trailer, and I was like, nope, nope. I ain't been to church in a while, but I tell you what, I'll go to church again before I watch Evil Dead, because I'm just not that kind of scary movie. Okay, baby crack. I got it. Okay. So you can thank Michael for that. Also, Baby Toshiro mentioned that he didn't know you were a Power Ranger fan, and I said that's our fault. That's on us because
is it? I feel like I've mentioned it lots of times.
I think you have, but I think it should be one of those things that if you come to our channel, there should be things you know us for. So I think one day, what we need to do videos like intro videos. Hi, I'm Leroy. I'm angry, and I have 2 children. We should do like when you buy an action figure, they have like stats and facts on them. I think we should do that just in video form. Be like, hi, I'm Michael.
Okay, fair enough.
Because I was like, hey man, that's on us that you didn't know that. So
did he see our trailer reaction?
He did.
Okay.
Yeah. Go ahead, buddy. So that's it for us. I'm gonna go watch. Knock on the Cabin or whatever that thing is, and eat Oreo cookies with some milk.
Okay. So we won't be live next week because I got to see WrestleMania. Yeah. We may take something
we'll take y'all,
but we should be live the week after. Oh wait, we'll
take something.
We'll be live again.
Say good night, Owen.
There we go, folks.
Say good night. Say bye bye. Say bye bye. Say bye bye.